with Scott Norton.
The best company in the world. Stop.
Hi everybody, I'm Randy Peterson. Welcome to the 2014 Bowl Expo here in Orlando, Florida. Kind of a home game for Norm and I. What a panel that I have the honor of interviewing today. Today's topic is titled The Sweet Smell of Success, and we're going to get into that in a little bit, but first I'd like you to meet some of the greatest the sport has ever seen throw a bowling ball down the lane. To my immediate left, Hall of Famer Pete Weber. Pete, thanks for joining us today.
Randy, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
I was just going to say that. Norm Duke, Hall of Famer. Norm, thanks for making it all the way out from Claremont.
Hello out there in TV land.
Next to you, future Hall of Famer, reigning Player of the Year, Jason Belmonte. Jason, long trip for you all the way from Australia.
Not quite the same distance traveled between Norm and I, but thanks, Randy.
And last but certainly not least, the big nasty, former Player of the Year, Wes Malott. Wes, again, always a pleasure to have you with us.
Always, Randy.
Good to see you guys. First of all, we're going to just talk a little bit about this year's Bowl Expo. Again, home game for Norm and I, so we're not putting any frequent flyer mileage on the credit cards. But guys, you've been to Orlando before. You like the city?
Oh, I love Orlando. It's, how can't you like it with Disney World, Epcot Center, Universal,
You didn't mention any golf courses.
What is it,
Orange Tree, sure.
Orange Tree,
Absolutely.
Orange Tree Golf Course. That's always a good place to go.
I had Norm and Pete out there not too long ago. Belmo, big long trip for you. That's got to be tough, huh?
Yeah, but when you travel from Australia as often as I do, you certainly get used to it, or you don't necessarily actually get used to it, but you deal with it.
Right.
I think is probably the best word. But yeah, this is actually my first time in Orlando.
Really?
So yeah, super psyched to have a look around, and I want to go down these zip lines behind us and then go to the bigger rides later on.
Tell you what, after Bowl Expo, I'll take you to Wet and Wild. We'll wear Speedos, okay?
That's
Perfect.
Oh, boy.
Wes Malott, now the weather in Texas, where you're from, you're pretty close to Austin, Texas. Not that dissimilar from here, is it?
Humidity's not quite as high, but it's still up there. I'm actually headed to Houston from here this weekend for a little bit of baseball with my oldest son, Jordan, so definitely going to have the humidity there, so this is kind of prepping me to go out there and coach these kids this weekend. So other than that, Orlando's been great. I wish we could have brought the whole family out to Disney this year, but things didn't work out.
Make sure you bring those Mr. fans. Those are big at any Little League baseball game.
I like what I like about Orlando when you go to the homes and they got these screened-in porches that are all over the top and everything.
Yeah, we call those the bird. We call those the bird cage. And for anybody that lives in Florida, if you don't have one of those in the summertime and you try to sit outside, either at dusk or in the morning, you literally get carried away by the mosquitoes.
Oh, I thought it was because your mom didn't want you getting away and sneaking out.
No,
to keep you locked up.
It tends to be pretty buggy here in the summer. And it just keeps the bugs out and allows you to be outside and be able to enjoy the great outdoors, so to speak, in the summertime. Guys, the topic is the sweet smell of success. You players have had tremendous amounts of success. And we're going to start with you, Pete. We're going to put you on the hot seat, and we're going to talk about some of those successes. And then we're going to integrate some of the equipment that you used and why. I think probably the greatest telecast I ever did was the 2012 U.S. Open. Who do you think you are? I am. But what most people don't remember is that you qualified in the 4th spot. You had to climb the ladder. Every match came down to the 10th frame. And you needed all 3 in the 10th to beat Fagan by 1. What was that day like for you? Take us back a little bit and talk about that day.
That day, I felt really good going into it. Schlem had me some new balls drilled up, so I knew I was going to have a good reaction out there. The first match against Ryan Schaefer, it came down to the 10th frame, and I needed a strike to win. And fortunate for me, I got the strike. So that's always a nice feeling. then the next match was against Belmonte, and he struck out in the 9th and 10th and threw 8 on the 11th, and that still made me throw the first strike in the 10th to win. And
I would have had a chance that match if you didn't get angry halfway through it, I reckon.
Well, we're going to get to that.
People should know better than to make me mad on TV.
We're going to get to that in a minute. Go ahead, Pete.
But
I was just glad
I was, like I said, I was feeling really good that day, and I just got up. I took my deep breath and went, and fortunate enough for me again, I got the strike. And then against Michael Fagan, he did some pretty good striking in the 9th and 10th to make me get up, and I needed 9 spare. Or first one would have won, and then I ringed 10 on a pretty good shot that thought. And I think I was more nervous shooting the spare than I was throwing the first ball.
Right.
And then after making the spare, I just got up and said, all you got to do is let the ball off your hand, and it's going to the pocket. And I took my deep breath and let it go, and I knew it was 10 in the pit when I let it go.
Right.
I just knew it was.
So you needed a first hit or a spare strike to win, 9 spare strike to win by 1. You left that flat 10, first ball in the 10th, and then the next one was just 10 back.
I just let it go, Randy, and I mean, that was probably the greatest ball I've ever thrown in my entire career, right there.
And I think one of the things that people really need to understand is how much thought process was going on in your head during that 10th frame. And it's, again, something we'll touch on with all of you players. How much thought process was going on?
It really wasn't a thought process. It was more of a feel process for me, making sure my hand felt comfortable in the ball. Because I knew if I just would let it go, it would be fine.
Right.
I wasn't even thinking about actually throwing the shot.
Right.
I was more worried about letting the ball go. And when I let it go, like I said, I just knew it was going to the pocket, and I knew 10 pins were going straight back.
Actually had to tell yourself to let go of it?
Yes, I did.
Really?
Well,
really?
but I think the interesting...
Well, being in that situation, it's every pro bowler's dream to have to throw a strike to win the U.S. Open.
And the natural reaction is to hold on to it, not let go.
That's right. Or your hand's so sweaty that it just falls off. But,
that's more like, well, yeah.
But I just wanted to get up and make sure I threw a good shot.
So not a lot of conscious thinking going on. And I think there's going to be that common thread throughout this conversation. The other common thread is that a lot of these majors that we're going to cover were against a lot of the same folks that are sitting up here. So let's fast forward now to the 2013 Tournament of Champions and talk about the gold IQ you were throwing. We watched Jason Belmonte and who else was it? Sean Rash lofting the left gutter cap. You're the tournament leader. We're waiting for you to come on. And while I'm doing the telecast, the only thing that's running through my mind is I don't know a lot of things, but I know one thing's for certain. Pete doesn't like to loft the ball. And number 2, the other question I was asking myself was, since Belmo and Rash are lofting the left gutter cap, is Pete going to have any more head oil left to get his ball to the right and back? And sure enough, you answered all those questions when you bowled that title match.
Well,
take us through it.
Well, I watched the first match, and the guys were playing right around the 4th arrow, not really trying to loft the ball, but they were there. And then when Belmo came on, all of a sudden, Sean Rash decided he was going to move way left and start lofting the ball, and Belmo followed suit. Well, they just skipped over the 5th and 6th arrow. They went all the way over to the 7th arrow and the left gutter cap. So when I got out the bowl, I said, there's still plenty of head oil for me in there. And I do have a pretty good release through the shot, so I can get the ball.
Let me assure you, there was no head oil on the 5th and 6th board.
Well, we're going to get. All right. So with that being said, so guys, with that being said, how much of this Pete Weber unique axis rotation?
He's the only one.
Because let's be honest, he doesn't have a real high rev rate, and there's 2 guys. Now for me, there's 2 guys on tour that can compete with the 500 and 600 rev rate guys when they get in here. One's him, and the other one's him. And these 2 roles are fairly similar. Not exactly the same, but he's got a little unique axis rotation and tilt. No one's got what he's got. So is it all axis, tilt, axis rotation that enables Pete Weber to get into 6th arrow and compete with the 500 and 600 rep guys?
Well, it's that. It's also just the softness off his hand.
There you go.
He's not grabbing it off his hand. When you see his hand opened up, I mean, it's
super
it's
soft,
through the
super
front
clean
so
hand at the
easy,
bottom, right?
And he can get it back from anywhere.
Right. So there you go.
More than most.
So it's got nothing to do with having any talent, Pete. You just got some
it's
lucky
a nice soft hand.
rotation and
Fortunate.
And he uses a lot of lotion on his hands, so they're soft. That's pretty much all I get from that. Well, Pete, what was it about the decision making that took you to the Gold IQ that day?
Well, the whole week I had been using the Gold IQ on the fresh, and then when the oil started moving down, I went to a regular high road. And the drillings on the IQ was pin up, hold on my axis.
Right.
The high road, pin down, hold down, so the ball would rev up a little quicker,
Sure.
which gives me a little more room.
Right.
But on the TV show, I tried to throw the high road, and it just, because of the hold down, it made the ball rev way too early and hook too early. To where I took the Gold IQ with the pin up, and I could get it down the lane.
Right.
Because pin ups for me get the ball down the
Sure.
lane a lot. So I wasn't afraid, and I knew there was room to the right, so I wasn't afraid to throw it to the right. And the ball just matched up to the condition for me, for the one game that I needed it to match up.
Now you used 2 different Gold IQs on that pair.
Yes, I did, but I wound up
Pin up, pin down.
Pin up on the right lane, pin down on the left lane, because I could get deeper on the left lane.
Gotcha.
But by the end of the game, I was back to using the pin up on both lanes.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, Pete, obviously 2 very memorable wins, 2 major victories. By the way, folks, everybody sitting here on the stage are major championship winners, including me.
Yes,
Can you
sir.
believe it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't feel so left out.
Man, you should feel like
Yeah.
lonely people up here, because they all 3 have Player of the Years and we don't.
No, we don't. You should have, but you were robbed.
That's all right.
I hope Marshall's not watching. Well, Pete, again, congratulations, 2 of the most memorable wins, and the greatest show that I've ever covered was your 5th U.S. Open
Thank you,
title.
Randy.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You're really way too nice to me.
Well, don't tell anybody, but I kind of have a man crush on you. Anyway, we're going to segue now to everybody's buddy Norm Duke.
You do not have a man crush.
And by the way, folks, Pete Weber with 10 major career victories. Segueing to Norm Duke now, former Player of the Year.
And if you add all of our majors together, we got it.
7 majors.
Yes.
He has 3.
3.
He has 1. That's 11.
Oh, I got
12. He's got 10.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I have to live with that every day.
10's a lot.
I have a man crush
I'll
on you
catch
too.
you guys.
10's a lot.
Can you sign my shoe?
Absolutely. How about that sock?
I like it.
Norm, just about 2 weeks ago, you became the first and only player in PBA history to have won not only a regular U.S. Open title, but a senior U.S. Open title. How important was that, and what did that mean to
I
you?
didn't know.
That was going to be one
Well,
anyway.
Yeah, I didn't know. They said that on the approach, and I thought, there's no way. I mean, I know all of the past U.S. Open champions, and I really thought that there was at least 5 or 6 that had both.
No,
And then,
just you.
well, I'd like to thank everybody for. But
I mean, we didn't even have to vote on that. You just did it.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So, out of your 7 majors, Norm, which is the sweetest?
Definitely the U.S. Open. Both of my U.S. Opens was against Mika for the final, and the bucket that I had to spare was definitely something I'll never forget.
Right.
And because I spared it, I remember it now. I would have forgot it otherwise.
Yeah. Had to make the bucket to win.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember you throwing it straight at the bucket. You didn't curve it into the bucket. You threw it straight.
Right at it, yeah.
Right at it.
And believe it or not, that was the only time that particular ball had ever gone down the lane. It has gone down the lane one time in its life at that spare.
What made you, because normally you throw your strike ball.
My strike ball at it, yeah.
For your spare ball.
Right.
You just back your hand out, nice end over end.
But that
what made you think about going from your strike ball to a ball you hadn't even thrown?
It's because every time I threw my strike ball that week, it would want to tip over to the left and chop the spares. So I used whatever ball was there. Well, that particular day, I drilled a new one, and I didn't use it. But I looked down, and that was the only 2 balls that were on the pair. And I wasn't going to use that one because it was going to chop. I knew it. So I say,
That's
You
incredible.
can hear it. I
didn't
said,
even know that.
I drilled you for a reason. I picked up a bowling ball. I threw it. The only time it's ever been down the lane, it knocked them all down.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Now, I'll tell you, the other U.S. Open, Mika needs to convert the 10 pin in the 10th frame.
He's right over there. Shh.
Hi, Mika. Now,
Don't remind him.
You know, for me, all the shows start running together after a while, but did you not, like, strike out 8th, 9th, and 10th to force him to mark? I mean, because literally this match was over. Mika was running away with it. And I vaguely remember saying something to the fact that, well, you know, if Norm strikes out, he gives Mika something to think about. On the U.S. Open wall pad, and by the way, everybody here knows what it's like and knows how difficult it is to bowl in the U.S. Open, including myself. It's brutal. Anyway, Mika, so you give him something to think about. Mika leaves a 10 pin on a good shot, and then he misses it. And you come falling out of the chair like somebody just like kicked you out of it. What went immediately through your mind after he whipped the 10 pin?
I thought I was being punked.
You were waiting for Ashton Kutcher to come running out?
Yeah, exactly. I was going, he'll get that over. And then he laid down on the ground, and then I kind of knew that was painful. And, you know, I love Mika to death, and I still root on him to make that 10 pin, and he never makes it.
I remember driving. You know, I think some of the greatest shows that I've ever done have all involved U.S. Opens. Belmo's been on several U.S. Open shows. Wes winning his first. We'll get to you in a minute. Norm being a multiple U.S. Open champion. But some of the greatest shows I've ever covered have all been U.S. Open shows. And I'll never forget driving to the airport and getting to the airport. Somebody called me and they're like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I still can't believe what I just saw. Mika whipping the 10 pin to lose the U.S. Open."
You might have to forgive me, I'm not entirely sure if this is correct, but Mika has only lost a match missing a 10 pin, so he tells me twice. Once was against Norm for a title, and I think the other one was against Stu Williams in the Cheetah Championship when they did that documentary format. I think you won that tournament,
yes, sir.
Actually. And so you think about all the times in your career that you leave a spare or a 10 pin to win a match, and one of them happens to be when you miss it for the biggest tournament ever. You know, like
it's kind of like you remember that more than you do throwing the strike to win the title.
There's Stu Williams right there. I bet he remembers.
All right. Well, Norm, obviously a Hall of Famer, phenomenal career, and now you're bowling a little bit on the senior tour and robbing us out there as well. Thanks very much for that. We're going to segue right out of you into Jason Belmonte, the reigning player of the year. Jason, I always like to use my facial fescue when you're bowling. It's kind of my thing. You know, he's the beast, PDW, the wee Iceman. I like the facial fescue thing. What's your take on me describing your beard as a facial fescue?
I actually think the first time I heard you talk about my facial hair, you'd called it carpet. I think it was the first time.
Carpet?
Yeah, facial carpet was the first time, and then it turned into facial fescue, which I much prefer than being called a carpet face. So carpet face.
I don't think it was carpet face.
It mightn't have been that harsh, but you had the word carpet in there, and I thought maybe I should start shaving.
Guys, give me 1 second. We're going to throw to Mike Fagan right now. I think he's got an interview.
Thanks, Randy. We're here possibly the next major winner for the women's side. Little Natalie here. How you doing, Natalie?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How's your Bowl Expo going so far?
Very good. Everybody that I met here last year, I keep telling them it's our 1 year anniversary.
It's our 1 year anniversary. Wasn't that special?
Yes.
I just celebrated my 1 year anniversary for my marriage.
Awesome. That's cool.
Thank you. So I wanted to ask you, how was it being on live with Kelly and Michael?
That was really fun. My favorite part about it would probably be Michael throwing the ball off the lane. That was funny. I was glad that nobody got hurt, but there was somebody behind the wall that he hit, so.
Yeah, he's hurt a lot of people in his career, though, so I'm sure he's used to that. So what are you averaging nowadays?
I am averaging around 116, 118, but my height game is 180.
Very nice. Have you started bowling any tournaments yet?
I am actually bowling the Texas State Tournament whenever we get back from Bowl Expo, so I'm very excited for that.
Very cool, very cool. So, how many states have you actually been to now through your whole travel?
Tonight, actually, I'm bowling in Florida. So tonight will make 33, so I have 15 left after tonight.
Very cool. Well, good luck on the rest of your travels, and good luck in your upcoming state tournament. Thanks, guys. I'll throw it back to you.
Hey, thanks, Mike. You know, I'm actually celebrating my 1-year anniversary today.
From what?
I stopped using a belly putter, and I got 2 hands on the wheel now.
No, it's still a belly putter. It's just your belly is growing toward your grip.
Yeah.
Because remember, hey,
It'll be a belly putter. 2 weeks.
Listen, 2016 is the end. No more anchored putters. Can't use it. Jason, let's pick up where we left off, which is carpet
Facial.
Yeah, I think it was carpet face.
Facial fescue.
It's facial fescue. Let's go back to your Player of the Year honor and what that meant to you.
Yeah, well, it's what everybody, I guess, wants to say is that you are the PBA Player of the Year, and I say it very humbly that when my name was announced, it was a moment that I can never forget, and it was a culmination of sacrifices and hard work and blood, sweat, and tears all into one award. And I know there's a couple of guys on this panel that haven't received it, but I firmly believe Pete will get one. Randy, I'm not so sure about you.
I have no chance.
But Pete,
thanks for being so kind, but I have no chance.
Pete, I am sure one day will receive it for sure. And it's a great.
I'd even take the Senior Player of the Year. That would be cool.
That's like,
Gotta start somewhere.
I got rookie, so
that's like the consolation prize. You're still robbed. Forget it.
I should still take a consolation prize.
The scary part is he could probably still win one on the big tour. I don't think anybody would be surprised if that happened.
not just an event.
Right.
Well, I better have a good World Series, huh?
So Jason, dominating here, obviously voted Player of the Year, but this year, man, there's nobody close. And let's start with winning the 2014 Tournament of Champions, and then backing up your Masters title, the first player to successfully defend a Masters title in over 50 years. What was that like? And maybe take us through a little bit of that, and then somehow integrate the equipment that you used and why.
Yeah, I think, for me, both tournaments, kind of the qualifying stages and the match play, and were very different. The TOC, I had a really great reaction. I used an uproar, a rotogrip uproar for basically the whole tournament, and ended up, I think, leading by almost 400 pins. So I had that qualifying to lead it, and then the Masters, really scraping into the TV show where I had to double against Dom Barrett in that 4-player, 3-man shootout thing that we had. So I went from comfortably leading to somehow making the TV show and needing to run the ladder. So there were two very different experiences for me. The TOC, you always have that, especially when you lead by a lot, and these guys all know what it's like to lead by a lot. You always have that underlining feeling like, man, I wish we could just end it right now, and I wish I could win. So that was a little bit tougher to go into it, thinking that if you lose, it might feel a little worse than when you come from 5th place and lose somewhere along the way. But I think we had a pretty good match. Neither of us, I think we'd probably take back a shot each. Maybe me, probably a couple more than Wes. But it was a really kind of, major fight. It was, both of us had a chance to really take the match away from each other, and we both couldn't do it in certain stages. And then the way that the pin count was, I was just fortunate enough not to lose count in the 10th frame when, Wes did.
Now 3-time major champion, the reigning Player of the Year, looking to go back-to-back. When was the last time somebody won back-to-back Player of the Year honors?
I don't know that it's ever. Well, Earl probably.
Walter and Parker have done it as well.
Walter,
Okay.
maybe Amaletto.
Amaletto back-to-back in 89 and 90.
89.
That's right.
89.
Yeah.
So that's still 20-something years, man.
And he's well on his way to back-to-back.
Yeah, you've really separated yourself from the rest of the field.
Yeah, keep it up.
Good luck. Good luck rest
I was
of
going
the
to
tour.
ask when they're.
I'm making a lot
You
of
said they're
friends.
taking away the belly putter. I wonder when they're going to take away the.
Oh, another hater.
Here we go.
Another
Suction
hater.
on his
It only
Yes.
took 30 minutes before
Guess what they-
someone said it.
Jason and I have been talking about this little idea that we have. You guys have watched the Golf Channel, the Haney Project.
Right.
And I've always told Jason and other folks that if I was ever reincarnated, I'd come back as a bowler that never used his thumb. And so we were thinking about coming out with the Belmo experiment, where he would actually teach me how to throw it with two hands and no thumb.
I like the other experiment better.
Which one?
The one where we tie one arm behind his back and say, "Go get me now." How you like me now? Because I can beat you with one arm tied behind our
Bowl a
back.
whole lot
I
better
guarantee you.
on 35 feet and less.
So listen, those viewers watching and tuning in right now, if you can go to stormbowling.com or send emails in. If you like the idea of the Belmo experiment, please log in and let us know what you're thinking. Wes, we'll move on to you now. Jason, obviously, congrats. And keep up the great work and finish the rest of the season off strong and talk about the ESPYs in a minute and go out there and grab another Player of the Year award and just have bookends on your mantle.
I would be very happy with 2, and that would be the end of it. I would be.
Just right off
I was
into
happy with 1, so.
Just right off into the sunset. You know how many
You'll
people
never
would be
see me
really
again,
happy?
right?
Be a lot of guys really happy, right?
Love it.
Wes, big Wes Malott, one major title to your credit. It was the 2013 United States Open. You beat the guy sitting next to you. He beat you at the Tournament of Champions by 1. You got up in the 10th frame, had a little bit of trouble. Belmo wins sitting on the bench. What was it like for you capturing your first major and it being the U.S. Open?
Well, I think the U.S. Open is the major title that all of us really cherish the most.
Hardest tournament to win, guys? Hardest tournament to win?
Hardest tournament, the lane pattern, the format, how many games you're bowling in that format.
The amount of people in the event.
Yeah, and just everything. So that definitely is the one we cherish the most. So to have that one come as my first title definitely means a tremendous amount to me. Any major at this point would have been great, but to have it be the U.S. Open and have that eagle sitting on my trophy case at home just tops all of it off.
What's the hardest part for you, Norm, about the U.S. Open?
Getting through it. I'm telling you, day 6 rolls around and you feel like you've been there for a month. And you're sore and you're hurting and you're tired. Your thumb is this big and bloody. And then they say, oh, by the way, you got 2 more days of 12 hours a day bowling.
And then in 2013, when I happened to win, we're bowling in 3 different centers.
Oh, that was
so
the
we're having
hardest.
to move equipment around every center until we get to that.
Your thumb is
No, it
not
wasn't
ever
terrible.
hurt.
Well, how does your thumb feel?
Yeah.
It's just even adds more to it.
Right, yeah. It certainly added an element of change. So you couldn't
Yes.
just get used to one venue, used to one end to another end. As soon as you were done, you moved to another place. So for sure, it made it a little bit more interesting.
And day 1 of that event, you averaged like almost 250, or did you average over 250 first day of qualifying?
No, yeah, I think it was.
I mean, you destroyed them.
I think I shot 350 something over for 6. It was a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I mean, that's unheard of at a U.S. Open.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Not even Weber does that.
No. You shoot 200 over, you've done really, really well. 350 over.
I guarantee if you would have asked Jason on the way there, Jason, you can pull over right now at McDonald's and skip the round. Would you take 100 over? He would have pulled right into McDonald's and had a little sack of food.
almost every
You
time.
would have taken
We
it.
would have. I don't know if he would have, but we
I
would
would
have.
have. I'd had coffee the rest of the day with my 100 over and laughed at you.
What's bigger, winning Player of the Year or your U.S. Open?
Player of the Year still tops it all because it's not one event. It is a season of consistency, and that's what I think all of us really drive to try and do is be consistent and be a competitor and a factor week in and week out there on tour. Not just be a hit or miss and win this tournament, then okay, well if I don't do good here, I mean we want to be a factor every week. And there's not everybody out there can say that. All 4 of us, I believe, can. And that's something I know it's what I drive over. I'm sure these guys do too as well.
Absolutely.
What equipment were you using when you won the U.S. Open?
that particular week, the High Road Pearl was definitely the ball of choice. Obviously, with that format, typically we see a burn squad. We didn't see that this last year, but still, with 6 games, you're still seeing a lot of transition on that lane pattern. So there were definitely other balls, but for TV especially, and most of qualifying, the High Road Pearl was definitely my ball of choice that week.
All right, guys, we're going to go one at a time down the row here. Pete, what's the best thing about the Storm and Roto-Grip product line for Pete Weber?
They are the best fitting bowling balls to my game. I mean, every one of them between Storm and Roto-Grip fit in my game somewhere. And that's what I love about Storm and Roto-Grip, is that they're so versatile and they are the best.
So there's no hole anywhere in the product line.
Nope.
If you need a ball reaction, there's a ball there.
We'll find the ball that works.
Norm?
Yeah, when we lose, it's not Storm's fault. They have everything we could possibly imagine. Best thing about Storm is their bowling balls smell better than everybody else's. That's why I take so long on the approach. I'm just living that smell.
Black cherry.
Yeah, we call that
cherry, yeah.
We call that aromatherapy,
I
folks.
like it.
Belmo?
But in all honesty, I think the biggest factor that we have against our competitors is if you watch our bowling balls off the spot compared to a lot of our competitors' bowling balls, we have the ability to miss that little bit further right and still see the ball, not just leave a 2-pin, still really pick up off that spot and carry and hit the pocket and send messages. And I watch it a lot. I watch not just with my rev rate, with guys like Pete and Norm's rev rate. We have the ability with our equipment where you watch someone else throw it just a little bit right and just 2 8-10s, and then we throw it to that same spot and it splits the 8-9. You see it in their faces. You can see
Right.
it's a little
We've
bit
all
defeating.
seen that a lot.
I think that's just a testament to our staff that that create the bowling balls that from high end, from hypercells to sinks and zero gravities, all the way down to like a wrecker. They all have the ability that when we need them to hook down lane, they can, and I think that's
We
that's
actually
the key.
have a break point.
Right, I think that's the key in our success is we can get further left, throw it further right, and hit the pins harder.
Wes?
Well, I've got a couple of different perspectives here. One, being in the shop, I get to see a lot of my customers throw some different brands and stuff like that. So what all these guys have pointed on, especially Jason, saying that your ball's going to hook down lane, that's definitely something I see. But as far as the bowling balls themselves, it is the bowling balls, but I got to take this farther back and thank everybody that's involved, to all the people in the plant who start designing this, Victor, Hank, all those guys, then the marketing team with Roger, those guys, and then all the people who make them in the plant, through production and all that stuff. All those guys are as big a piece of the puzzle as us throwing them, performing with them. So I just got to take my hat off and say kudos to those guys.
Isn't it? Like a chef, you can have the perfect recipe, but if you don't have the right chef to cook it,
Sure.
it's not going to taste so good.
It's a lot.
Bill and Barbara Chrisman and Dave Sims, they put a nice crew together.
They have.
Yes.
And
These guys are invested in with us.
And I like what you said, Norm. If Storm's not winning, it's not the equipment.
It's not their fault.
But the other thing that they've assembled the greatest staff on the planet.
You can't beat our
It's
staff.
not like you got a bunch of chumps on the staff,
Not at all.
That's
Not at all.
because we were begging to be on staff, though. Like, you
Well,
remember.
And I think
Yeah.
our staff is so deep in length. Like, we've got obviously us four and staff. Then you've got like Don Barrett.
Well, you
right
forgot me.
behind us.
I'm on staff.
And of course, Randy.
Fagan's right there.
Mike
Stu
Fagan,
Williams.
Stu Williams.
You're the voice of Storm.
We got our Oscar
some
Palermo.
pretty good women
it
on
just
there, too.
keeps going down the list where we have such quality players with this equipment. Someone's winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, have I mentioned my best friend is in the audience?
Your son?
My son Chad Peterson, right there. Hi, buddy.
Hey, gee, thanks, Dad.
He was just going down the zip line. I had to videotape that. Chad is at his first bowl expo ever. He's having a blast, and
Hey, my son's
there
on
he
his
is.
second-
There he is. Look at that good-looking guy. Yeah, I'll tell you, it's easy to see
Our
where
dad's great.
it's easy to see where he gets it from as soon as they flip the camera back around. That's right here. Okay.
Yeah, they got that middle finger up at you.
Yeah. All right, guys. So here's a chance now to tell everybody watching, it's basically kind of like your pledge. What does it mean to represent Storm? Pete?
It's everything to me. Storm is Storm. I was fairly good before I bowled with Storm, but ever since I've been with Storm, they've made me a greater player than I ever thought I could be.
And it's been 17 years?
17 years I've been with Storm, and there isn't another company on this earth that I'd rather bowl for.
Norm, what does it mean for you to be on Storm staff?
Buddy, I've had a couple of bowling ball initiatives on my own, and I've sat there on the tour and left flat tins while everybody else was getting bird dogs and things like that, and it's not a fun trip. Now I believe that it's an unfair fight the other way, and so when you ask me what does it mean to represent them, it's the greatest honor. But the main thing is I wouldn't represent anybody if I didn't carry that flat tin. I would be forgotten element, and they are keeping me alive and well and in bowling. I love it. I love it.
Jason?
People may not know the people behind the company, and for me, one of the greatest honors is when you actually sit down with Bill and Barbara Chrisman. You can ask them anything. You can talk to them about anything. And along the way in my career as an amateur, when I really didn't have an opportunity to throw very many brands, Bill gave me a chance. And along the way, I've been able to ask his advice on a lot of personal issues and travel issues. And that's, to me, one of the greatest things about this company and represented it is it's not just, go and throw our bowling balls and win for us. It's about how are you doing today, and this family feeling behind the company. And, we don't have that corporate entity feeling where it's got to get passed through the chain and then it can get rejected at any point and you got to do it all over again. Here I can go and ask anyone on staff, hey, I need your help, and it gets done, and I love that.
Big Wes?
What's up?
What does it mean to you?
No.
What's it like? What's it mean to be on Storm and to be a part of Storm staff?
Right. Well, when I came over in 2008, I'm a person that's going to be loyal and it's going to do what I think is right. I'm not just going to jump ship because I can, and I might can make a little bit more money. When you guys approached me in 2008, it was a very difficult decision because I am that loyal kind of guy. I'm not going to do what I just said, but it was an easy decision when the time came. It's been the absolute best decision in my career, not only for my performance, but just to be around the people within the company. As Jason said with Barb and Bill, I mean, when we get to like Bowl Expo or when we get to any event where everybody's there, Barb's always coming up, giving me a hug from the bottom of her heart. Bill's going to be the first one there. When I re-sign contracts, I always get some kind of update from Bill, even though he's kind of not the one doing anything. Little things like that go a long way, and it's just one big family. And we all congratulate each other. We all want everybody to do well, even if it's not us. We're always there supporting each other, and that's what it's about. So I've been on the other side, like I said. When it all happened, if I could have had something happen, I told them I would stay with you guys, and they couldn't make it happen, and I came here. And again, like I said, it's been the best decision of my career.
If I can add on top of that, what Wes said, about going up the tree, every level, that I talk to, from the guys who are kind of running around and doing a few errands to the guys who are really leading the company forward, Dave Sims, Hank Boomershine. You can talk to all of them. And I don't want to keep harping on the issue, but it's so important in today's business model to have that, family feel. And we are the Bowlers Company for a reason.
Guys, we only have about 30 seconds left. Let me just reiterate what everybody said. I was with the big company, the big corporation company, for 12 years prior to coming over to Storm. And I've been with Storm now for 13 years. When I was over with the big corporation, I never once got a hug from the owner. but I always get a hug from Barb and Bill Crispin.
Absolutely.
Always.
Hey, everybody, thanks very much for joining us. For Wes Malott, Norm Duke.
Come on, Randy. We'll get you.
We're all hugging it out. Everybody, thanks for joining us.
Thank God Wes stayed
Norm,
over there.
Pete, Jason, Big Wes Malott, thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Lots more to come here at the 2014 Bowl Expo in Orlando.